I really, really value the subs to my channel and the taste that they have. It's absolutely amazing. So 99.9% of the time, everything that they are suggesting and recommending is off the scale, stellar good.
Welcome, everybody, to this Prog chat. I'm very honored to have a special guest from the United Kingdom, Jim Newstead. Hey,
Hi
Jim.
there, how you doing? Hi.
Jim has a music channel there. He's been operating for about 5 years now on YouTube. Has it all been about music reactions? Was that the actual purpose of your channel when you started?
The channel existed before I started doing reactions, but literally it was, like everybody has a YouTube channel as a repository for a few home videos and stuff like that. So I had a video of our dog running around chasing some rabbits and stuff like that. But that's all gone. That's all been deleted off now. So yeah, I think it was no, it was 2018 when I started doing this, back in March. So it's just over 5 years now. And I had been caught up in the whole sort of reaction video thing, sort of being sort of a consumer of them. And I didn't even know it was a thing. And I mean, I'd been looking at music on YouTube for years, and it was all about sort of looking at the sort of the stuff that I really loved from when I was sort of younger, sort of the big Pink Floyd things and some Deep Purple tracks, stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, something came up as a reaction video to one of these tracks. I thought, oh, what's this? I started watching it, and I got hooked onto. I can't remember the guy's name. I think it's called Weeaboo. Weeaboo Reacts. I don't know if you've ever come across him.
No.
So he's in America somewhere. And I just started watching him, and I just I discovered so many new artists through that. I thought, I really want to do this. I'm going to because I discovered Devin Townsend. That was the big thing for me, and I said I want to share this with some friends, and I made a reaction video to a Devin Townsend track, literally to share with some friends, and I sent it out, and actually none of them actually saw it or watched it or commented on it, but other people out in YouTube land did. And it's after a sort of a few days, it picked up sort of 35, 40 comments, had people started to follow me. I thought, this is a bit, what's going on? I don't, this isn't how this is meant to happen, but it did. And I thought, well, okay, I'll do another one. And then I did another one. And then another, and then it just sort of kept on going, and it just became a thing that I do. So at that time, I was working full time, and as soon as I got home, the first thing I wanted to do was like, right, let's get a reaction video done, let's get that out of the way. Or if before I went to work during the day, because my shifts were all over the place, so I might have been starting at sort of after lunch or something like that. So I do a video this morning or something, and yeah, so it just sort of snowballed from there, and then. It's changed direction, I think, rather than just being just a straight reaction thing. I've started to become much more involved in wanting to curate good music. It sounds a bit sort of a cheesy thing to say, but I really, really value the subs to my channel and the taste that they have. It's absolutely amazing. So 99.9% of the time, everything that they are suggesting and recommending is just absolutely off the scale, stellar good. I've started to do it more as sort of whole album reaction, so listening to a body of work rather than just sort of individual songs here and there, which then without context of the body of work they're meant to be involved with. So it's like listening to Money, but without listening to Dark Side of the Moon. It kind of, it's quite good. It's a very good track, but actually it makes a lot more sense when you sort of have it in Dark Side of the Moon, or indeed Comfortably Numb in The Wall. So that's what I did. And I've sort of managed to carve out a sort of quite a little niche where maybe other people doing it, but I haven't seen many people. But I listen almost exclusively to it on vinyl, on record.
Yeah, that is pretty unique.
I think a lot of the audience actually quite likes that. It's very nostalgic. So I buy old records mostly. There's a lot of stuff off eBay and off Discogs and secondhand record shops. And they have clicks and pops and scratches. Sometimes the needle gets stuck and it jumps. That's all part of the charm, and sort of, I think 95% of the people sort of quite dig that. So yeah. So how long have you been doing yours?
Well, this channel, it didn't start off as Prog Dog. That was actually kind of more recent. I just called it my name like you. It was Dean Wolfe.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember Dean.
Yeah, and for 2 years I was doing guitar lessons and gear reviews because of course I'm a guitarist. I'm a multi-instrumental. I'm a multi-instrumentalist as well, actually, but guitar is my main thing, and guitar pedals, whatnot. And then it was my wife who was watching some React channels. I think it was not Prog Rock, that's for sure. And she said, "Oh, have you thought of doing reaction videos?" And I thought, at that point, the only one I'd seen, I came across some videos of some people reacting to Rush, especially like some black hip hop guys. I thought that was curious. What are guys who are into hip hop going to think of Rush? So I ended up watching a few of those, seeing what they thought of Rush.
Lost in Vegas.
Yeah, that was probably one of them. Yeah. Not a lot though. But usually it's Rush, or maybe a little bit of Yes. But still, it didn't occur to me that I could do reaction. And she said, "Why don't you try reacting?" So I thought, well, I guess I could listen to some prog rock, because I hadn't listened to prog rock or followed the prog rock scene for a long time, since the 90s. And I used to love prog rock. I grew up on prog rock. So I always felt like it had kind of died out in the late 80s. It was kind of finished, I thought, except for a couple little pockets, and so I just started to discover all these prog bands that I like: Symphony X, Big Train, Muse I'd heard of a little of, so they were not totally new. And who else? Oh, there's just a ton of them. Like there's literally like Tool. There's like probably 300 at least prog bands I'd never heard of. It's just incredible. So I focused on that. I focused on the prog rock. I wouldn't say you're not focused on prog rock, are you? You're kind of more classic rock.
Not exclusively. I mean, it has prog has been sort of like the main bedrock of what we've been listening to on the channel, or prog adjacent. By the same token, yes, I'm very happy to listen to pretty much anything. As long as it's as long as it's interesting. That's very subjective, isn't it? But it's I've had a little bit of hip hop on the channel. I've had some electronica. I've listened to some jazz fusion, quite a bit of classic rock, and obviously prog rock. So yeah, no, I cast the net wide. I've even had listened to some Sanson, sort of an organ concerto. It's just listening to music which moves me, and I think might move the audience as well.
That's the other thing that's kind of special about having a channel like this is your audience. You've got, I'm sure, loyal watchers who are commenting, from time to time. You kind of get to know some of these people. Do you find that?
Definitely. Yeah, there's more than a handful, I'd say, probably sort of 25 or 30 people you can count on that will comment on most videos. And then depending if you sort of then maybe sort of broaden the topic, okay, I know there's going to be another sort of maybe 100 who I'll recognize their names, they repeat coming back because they want to watch Yes, or they want to watch Jethro Tull, or Devin Townsend. So there's a different audience for different sorts of videos. When I was listening to a lot of Tool 2, 3, and 4 years ago, there was a huge amount of people came into the channel then. I think most of them have stayed with the channel. I don't think I get as many comments from them on some of the other videos I do now. But some of them came for Tool, but then stayed with the channel because of the music and because of they basically like hanging out with me, which is a nice thing to do. And I think through the pandemic thing, that became, although this wasn't started off as a thing to do because of the pandemic, it proved to be very timely that everyone was stuck at home. People they were bored, but also they were missing company, missing talking to people and doing stuff, normal stuff, like going to the pub and sitting around with a few mates and sort of having a beer or two and then chatting about music, which is kind of what you do, isn't it? And people were missing that. And I think you probably found the same. You sort of filled that people needed, and then people are stuck with it. It's been really good. It's lovely, and I find it really is. It's about the community as much as it is about the music. A lovely thing. It's a symbiotic thing. So it's good for me, but it's also good for the audience. So it's a two-way thing.
You know, Facebook was doing this meta thing, and I think they're still doing it, but it would be kind of cool if YouTube incorporated the whole 3D experience, where you can put on goggles and we could actually host a video and have a sense of being in the same room physically with the audience. I think that would be great. I don't know if they've looked into that, but I think reaction channels are here to stay, and they're a phenomenon, I think.
I wouldn't be surprised to see some of them sort of popping up on mainstream media, on TV, as a cheap TV program to make. There are some really good channels on YouTube, really, really some high production values. And I look at them, I say, God, that should be that's a TV program. That's not someone messing around in the garage like I am, or in the basement. There's a high production values, and there's a team of people work. You can see that on some of these channels, that they've actually got a team of people there, sort of like 4, 5, 6 people working around in the background who are on the payroll. How are they making money? How are they making enough money to do that? I don't know, but it's I wish I knew.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens in the future, because I think reaction channels are here to stay. They're kind of a new kind of journalism in a way. You know, it's kind of replacing, well, not replacing Rolling Stone or NME or whatever, but it's sort of like a progression, sort of a spin-off.
I think it's replacing radio.
Oh,
I think it's replacing, or it's adjacent to radio. That it's doing a thing that radio doesn't do very well anymore. But I remember when I was a kid back in the sort of 80s, that there was a few radio shows I listened to religiously every single week. One of them was a local show where I came from, and then the other one was a national one on Radio 1, which is a big national radio station in the UK. And the guy's name was Tommy Vance, and he presented what was called the Friday Rock Show on a Friday night. And from 9 o'clock till 11 o'clock, he would play just the most brilliant hard rock and metal and prog, and he'd be playing Genesis next to Iron Maiden, next to Metallica, next to an old Pink Floyd song, next to a live set from Saxon, next to something from maybe the Blue Oyster Cult. And it was just, to my young ears, at sort of 12, 13 years old, this is all sort of like I can't remember what the phrase is, but it absolutely sort of whetted my appetite and filled me up with an ambition and desire and want to find out more and hear more about it. Because there was music that was not on the radio in the daytime. And certainly my mum and dad would never be playing it. And you got to rely on your friends at school, because they had records, and we started sharing records and doing mixtapes for people and taping stuff. That was the thing. But hearing it on the radio like that was a thing. And I think now, unless you find very, very specialist radio shows, it's more difficult to find it. There's a lot of radio shows, I suppose, also playlists, which kind of do the same sort of thing, but there's no human thing in it. They are just algorithms. So the video shows where they might have like 15 or 20 tracks over the course of 2 hours or so. Maybe not that many, but so 10 to 15 tracks will be compiled by computer or by popularity. It won't actually have somebody listening to and think, oh, I think this would work well. And I sort of really like this one. I want to talk about this one. Oh, here's something I haven't heard for a couple of years. It's that human thing. And I think the connection of a person listening to and talking about music and what it means emotionally is almost more important to the listener. Or I can't talk for every listener, but I think it is important to some listeners as a bunch of random songs playing one after another.
I love that you said that, because it hadn't occurred to me the idea of the radio or replacement for radio, because I grew up when radio was pretty exciting, and like in I live near Toronto in Canada, and they had some great stations. One of them was CFNY, which is a song that's Rush made a song called Spirit of the Radio. Is about this radio station. Right now they turned into a totally commercial station. They play it's disappointing. I would never listen to their station now, but in those days they were playing bands that you'd not heard of. They were programming all kinds of adventurous music, and it was, that's why Neil Peart was writing about it, saying the spirit of the radio. And
yeah, but I think they hinted at that in there, didn't they? So talking about the sort of endless compromises and glittering prizes. So they were trying to cater for all, but sort of not really sort of focusing. So I think when maybe sort of in the few years before that, it would have been this amazing golden era for radio. But when they came to write about it, they were harking back to what it was great about it. But also now they can see that the rot has set in. It's now becoming, it wanted to be something for everybody, and actually became a diluted thing that was just a sort of a wet fart for everybody. So I mean, it's kind of, yeah.
So the nice thing about YouTube is that you can find your reactors that you like, and you start to kind of hang around their channels and keep an eye on what they're reacting to. And so it's much more personalized and individual. By the way, do you think there's more and more channels growing number of channels now that are featuring progressive rock? Because I feel like it's starting to grow a little,
Well, I don't know. It's difficult to know, because the algorithm works in mysterious ways. And if you start watching and listening to a very specific sort of music, then it's only going to ever recommend the same thing to you all the time, which is in itself a bit of a problem, because you're then in an echo chamber. It's a bit like it is on Facebook or Twitter, when you never hear opposing views of your own. So you only ever hear something that's reinforcing what you like and what you want to talk about all the time. But I think it's probably the same, a little bit the same in YouTube, that it'll occasionally it'll throw up a random thing, which is a sort of, that was interesting. But most of the time it sort of regurgitates is the wrong word, but it sort of gives you more of the same sort of thing. So you have to sometimes actively look for other stuff. Now, there does seem to be a lot of people reacting to prog, but I wonder if that is because we are very interested in it and we're looking ourselves for it. And it's I think there's more there. I think that obviously all the time YouTube in itself is growing, so all the time. So I don't know how many videos they uploaded every minute. It's a ridiculous figure, isn't it? Yeah. But same token, there are new channels being added all the time, and people will see that oh, look, Prog Dog's got a channel there. It's working really well. I could do that. So someone says, I'll have a go. And so, oh, Jim, he's doing that. I might have a go at doing that. So I think there are people who will obviously come along. I mean, I did it because I saw someone else do it, and I thought, oh, well, I could have a go at that. So it is, of course, it is. And I don't knock that at all. I think it's a good thing, as long as they're doing it for the right reasons. I mean, everyone's doing it for their own reasons, but there is I think a way you can see people thinking it might be a way of getting big quickly, or I don't know, or trying to sort of make a lot of money very, very quickly and stuff like that. Kind of, it's not. You don't go into to do that, really. It doesn't really work. So they disappear. So they may they'll burn brightly for sort of a few months or maybe 6 months, and all of a sudden I haven't seen anything from them at all for a long time.
Yeah, it's this is a marathon, not a race, for sure. Yeah. YouTube. YouTube in general, I think. Did you have any channels before you started this channel? No?
That's probably done it.
Because I kind of did. I kept sort of starting channels. I've always had an inclination to want to have a YouTube channel, and I had one when I went vegan. I started a vegan channel, and when I was getting into Hot Wheels with the kids, I say, oh, let's make videos of you guys and us doing Hot Wheels things. and these things all burned and fizzled out because I couldn't sustain it. It was just it was a kind of a transient interest for me. So when I actually got into the music channel, I've been doing the actual reactions for 3 years, and I've proved to myself that, oh yeah, well, I can keep doing this. I know that this is not a transient thing. It's something that's a lasting interest. But it's funny how channels evolve, just like evolution, going from being in the water to on land to growing gills and breathing air. What's the evolution that you see happening with reaction channels? Because I know I started doing interviews. I think you've done some too. That's interesting how that's happened.
Yeah, and I can only really talk for myself that I started off very, very much literally just sort of listening to something and talking about it, then sort of finishing the video. And I do that time and time and time again. I did a little bit where I still do the occasional sort of comedy one, just as something different. Interviews. I think quite a good thing we've started up recently was the Reactors Assemble, where we get the whole bunch of us sort of like four of us on a Zoom's call like this. So it's you, me, it'll be Doug Helvering, and then Nick and Lex over in Colorado. So the four of us on a thing together. So I think that's quite nice, and people like that. I see other people doing other things. So you have some very technical musicians who are very good at breaking down musical pieces and talking about it. There's a lot of singing coaches, an awful lot of singing coaches doing reactions to different things. And live streams, that's another sort of different thing that people do, isn't it? It's just basically just having a chat with the audience. But I think sort of as an evolution, it's probably going, I would imagine that I'm going to end up I won't go away from doing reactions probably ever, but I'm doing more I'm doing occasional ones where sort of, oh, this is something I've discovered and I want to share it with you. So it's more, I already know the music, but I'm playing it again because I want to share it. I've been approached by 2 or 3 bands and I talk to them. I'm doing exposing underknown or lesser known bands to a wider audience because I'm very fortunate, the same as you. I've got this sort of big platform now where a lot of people will tune in, or not necessarily, but there's this phrase in the UK, I don't know if you have it in Canada as well, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Oh yeah.
So you can do that. You can sort of present all this material all the time, but not everyone is going to sort of click on it. But I think giving back to the world, something like that, is by taking smaller bands and giving them a chance to have some exposure. I think that's a good thing to be able to do.
That's a great thing to do. Yeah, I agree. Tell me a little about your skill or your history as a musician. You're a musician, right?
I suppose once a musician, always a musician. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little about your musician side.
So I'm a bit of a lapsed musician at the minute. I don't play with the band currently at all, but I used to play in bands all the time. I'm a drummer, and the first band I was in, other than the one with my brother and sister, which didn't really count, just us hanging around by the piano. It was after watching Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast, when that first came out, and all of us went into school the next day. And there was 5 of us all got together. Did you see that last night? Oh yeah, we're going to form a band. And so we all decided we're going to sort of play this, that, or the other. And of course, at our school, there was no opportunity to learn the actual instruments. So we all did the next best thing. So 2 of us learned to play violins. I took up orchestral percussion and stuff. So we would end up in the orchestra. But by the time we got to the summer holidays, we'd managed to scrimp and save enough money together to buy our weapons of choice, as it were. So I got my first drum kit, and friends got guitars and bass and stuff, and then we made a racket. And yeah, so I was probably 13 or 14 years old. So I've been playing drums for 40 years, and have played in a lot of different bands over the years. None of them sort of earth-shatteringly successful from a sort of a monetary point of view, obviously, but I've toured and we've done releases and records and stuff. I write a lot of music myself electronically, so a bit bit later at when I was older at school, I had a friend who was very into synthesizers, and I got very excited about it. Oh, this is a whole new area. I don't understand, but I want to learn about it because it's amazing. And we sort of learnt with each other how to make noise from synthesizers and stuff. And then I started getting my own synths and have been making electronic music, not for 40 years, maybe 35 years. So that's the other thing that I do. I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tracks like that.
Cool.
Yeah, so electronic and drumming.
So is your music available online if people wanted to go check it out?
I've got a bit on Bandcamp. I've made sort of three. I think I've got three albums on there. But yeah, there's 3 albums on Bandcamp.
Okay.
It's a bit sort of trying to think how to describe it. It's a bit sort of Vangelis stroke the Orb. So it's a bit sort of ambienty, but also. Do you remember Yellow as well? The band Yellow.
No.
In the 80s. No, so I think it does. I think my music probably does sound. It's a comedy. It's not sort of modern hardcore dance music stuff, but it has got samples in it, and I do a lot of quite interesting sort of drum machine rhythms and stuff like that.
Good. I'm going to be checking that out later.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Do you do stuff, because you've been in loads of bands as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been very active in music actually since I was 17. I dropped out of high school, and I joined a band and toured on the road for a couple of years. And I was a full-time musician, and I really built up my chops doing that for sure. And but I was rather disillusioned by the music business, and I actually became a chef after that. I felt like I thought, well, I'll just do music on the side, and I tried out chef career. I was in a jazz fusion band for a few years here in Victoria. I think that sort of is a big part of my reaction channel, sort of like my experience as a musician. I'm not just somebody who doesn't know anything about music, but I'm self-taught, so I can't do all the chatter that Rick Beato does, for example. The guy has like an incredible brain on music, and I can't do all that. I have to just do it like I do with my music, just a layman's kind of talk.
And I think I'm the same. So, and I have had a lot of lessons and training, and I did music. I studied music at school, but my sister has a master's degree in classical music, and she's talking on a whole nother level. I do not understand what she's talking about. I understand bits of it, but for me, I find music easier to feel the music rather than sort of notate it. I can feel where it's meant to be going, what it's meant to be doing, and if it feels right, and I can play it like that on the keyboard, rather than I can read music, but I can't sight read. It takes a long time. I have to. Right, hold on. No. But if I wanted to play it from ear, I could sort of, I'll just work that out. Okay, now I know how to do it, and I'll play it.
Yeah. And actually a lot of really famous songwriters and musicians are self-taught as well. You got both sides of it, some that are very educated and like, for example, Steve Vai, the guy is incredible. He can notate all of his own music and his solos. And then you got Steve Howe. I'm pretty sure Steve Howe is all self-taught. He doesn't read notes or anything like that. And he was in the Hall of Fame for guitar players. Guitar Player magazine. There are reactors around. Like I interviewed Scott Lade. He's the only other reactor. But I know he's not a reactor. Sorry, he's a reviewer, really. And his channel, for example, he will talk about music, and there's no actual listening to music. There's no music at all during the videos. It's all just talk. And there's plenty of channels like that. Is that something you've thought of trying to do, where you just start your video and you're just talking through the whole thing?
No, not really. I mean, I've done maybe I could do one or two like that, but it's I'd run out of things to say, because I want to listen to the music. That's the whole sort of point of why I started doing these is actually to sort of listen to music. I might do the odd one here and again. In fact, actually, I was thinking of starting up a second channel to run alongside this. As I'll announce it here first, because I've not actually talked about this anyway yet, but I was going to call it Sleeve Notes. So cool. It's a little bit like a reaction, but to go alongside the reaction channel, I was sort of just talk through what is. So, for example, got here, Caress of Steel, yeah. So I don't know this record, but I was then so okay, I can read through the lyrics and stuff, and who's done what on here. Talk about what the album artwork is, who's in the band, what year it's released. So actually, not having music on there, but I could have that sort of as a separate channel, possibly.
Interesting. Yeah.
A lot of people they just sort of really like listening to your voice, Jim. So well, that's very nice, thank you very much. So what can I do with my voice? I could talk a bit, I suppose. So that's what I thought I might do.
I did something a little like that. I tried a couple of videos where I was going to react to Jethro Tull, and so I did a video of me reading the entire page on Wikipedia and just reading every paragraph, just, you know, and it was actually for my sake as well, because I wanted to learn about the album before I listened to it. And then I thought, well, why don't I record it and upload it as a video? I've done 3 or 4 of those. It's kind of fun.
You cannot react to King Crimson. I don't know if you've come across that yet. So I ended up doing a King Crimson video where all I did was just got the album, took the camera, and I read about it. I said, but I cannot talk about the songs. We must not talk about the songs. It is forbidden. We must not talk about the songs. Oh, Mr. Fripp, what does he do? He plucks and strums the guitar, but I cannot say too much, for it may come down as a copyright strike. We must. So I was really taking the mickey a little bit.
That's cool. I just want to wrap up and say that I really appreciate your channel. Yours is one of the earlier ones I found, and I really value what you do. To me, there's a lot of integrity there, and you set a good example, I think, for all reactors and what you do. And once again, thanks very much for spending your time with me here today, and we'll certainly be in touch and keep in touch and talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me so much. It's been great to be here.
Hey. Thank you so much. Okay, take care. Have a good day.
Cheers. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Cheers.